Hello and welcome back to the Perth to Paisley podcast, episode number 157, where Hearts have progressed to Hampden once again, semi-finals of the Scottish Cup after beating Morton at Capello. Did it go as well as we thought? Let's see, we'll find out. I, as ever, am Daniel McIver, joined by Adam Kennedy. We were both there, Adam. How did you enjoy your night?
We were McIver, loved it. Love Capello as a ground. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Bar maybe the first 45 minutes. It was the second half was great fun. And you can't beat a late winner, can you? There's just something, no matter who you support, no matter what level, there is nothing quite like a late winning goal. So thankfully the Jambos that made the trip through West were rewarded in the end. Yeah, really, really pleasant evening in Inverclyde. What about yourself?
Yeah, it was good. It is apparently the hardest place to get to in the country. And like
It's the
all the
hardest place to park the
trains,
car up.
yeah,
Jesus.
it
Well,
was a
Greenock's
nightmare.
got about five train stations, so you'd think that it would be easy, but
No.
never mind. I mean, let's just get into that. Slag the governing bodies, a Monday night fixture, and lack of train services. Absolutely shocking planning. I don't know why ScotRail aren't, hook, line, and sinker with the
That's happened
SFA
to
and whoever else,
both,
but
by the way, because at the
fuck
Airdrie
off.
game, there was all the problems with the trains as well. It's all our Scottish Cup away games.
They just don't consider that Hearts might actually bring a decent support while things are going well to grounds that we don't tend to visit every so often.
No, it's a conspiracy that ScotRail are involved
The
to stop
latest
us.
Scottish football conspiracy.
Stop us doing well by cutting trains to wherever we're going.
Amongst many, there's certainly a few.
Well, let's get into those other conspiracy laden teams now because,
Nice.
as you said, we were the last quarterfinal to kick off on the Monday night, but there was several to go through. And to be honest, all of them had quite big talking points within them. So the
That's true.
first is exactly what I said would happen last week, where Kilmarnock turn up and have their worst performance of the season by a country mile, and Neil Warnock finally gets a form of a win.
I was going to say I don't think you quite predicted it exactly given the
No,
aftermath,
no, because I
but
thought this will be it. This will be the result that spurns Neil Warnock into being like, see, we can do this.
everybody was hoping that he would simultaneously get Aberdeen relegated but win the Scottish Cup because it would be a good laugh. But that's just not how it's panned out. So that's great.
And in fairness, Aberdeen themselves could still do that, but they won't be with Neil Warnock because after beating Kilmarnock 3-1 to progress as the first team through, Neil Warnock, well, I was about to say parted company with Aberdeen, but in the past
He
couple of
didn't even
days,
really resign. Like this, the wording in the statement was bizarre in that he stepped aside.
and then on Monday, as we were recording this yesterday, Aberdeen released a statement saying that they've still got to do interviews for a lot of people. I mean, it's going to be Neil Lennon, but
I think it could be as well. It reeks of Craig Levein being sacked, but lurking in the background. Really, it's just.
I think he's just walked. I think he's
Uh,
walked.
it's such a bizarre situation, isn't it? Though, like it's actually nuts. Like how have Aberdeen? Dave Cormack just doesn't have a Scooby, does he?
Nah.
That club has just been on a gradual decline ever since Stuart Milne left, and Dave Cormack obviously then took the reins. But long may it continue because Dave, we're winning the season ticket war, and turns out we're actually better on the park as well. So that's nice.
And yes, Neil Warnock leaves Scottish football with a massive 0% winning rate in the league system. Well done, Neil. You did really well.
Victories over Bonnyrigg Rose and Kilmarnock in the Scottish Cup. 30 days. That has got to be, that's like, this will be considered one of the all-time legendary Scottish football tenures
It's
just
the
for all
worst
the
in
wrong
our lifetime.
reasons.
It's the worst
Do you
in our
think it
lifetime.
is?
Yeah. Considering
I
the
think I
size
think
of the
Derek
club.
Adams is up there as well, to be
Yeah,
fair.
but no one
First
expects Ross
spell.
County to do anything. You expect
Yeah,
Aberdeen to
you'd
do
expect
something.
Aberdeen. To be fair, I thought that it was the perfect temporary appointment and that they'd get a couple results. But do you think he's underestimated the league by coming up
Yes,
here?
I think he's went, oh, this will be a fucking laugh. I'm Neil Warnock. For some reason, I think I'm a good football manager. So I'll just come up
Oh,
here
yeah. His
and
track
just do
record is
whatever.
impressive. You can't deny that.
I don't think it is. I think it's impressive in a
Oh,
certain
come on.
situation. Like, I don't think Big Sam's impressive. I don't think Neil Warnock's impressive. They have very specific skills at being just a bit less shit than other shit teams.
I think Warnock's. I think. I think first of all, Aberdeen and their supposed expectations are probably too big for Neil
Yeah,
Warnock's. I think
definitely.
Neil Warnock has blossomed at an underdog or a team that aren't
Totally.
fancied to be
Yeah.
promoted. I think Aberdeen, the situation that they're in, the fans are rightfully raging because they are, with all due respect, honking.
Yep.
Um, I think they obviously demand a heck of a lot better. They want to be winning most weeks. They'll look at our trajectory and think we should be on an even keel at the bare minimum. It's obviously not panned out that way. I don't know. I feel as though he's underestimated the size of club that Aberdeen are,
Yep.
Scottish football itself,
Yep.
but I'm a massive fan of him just taking the piss throughout his entire tenure. I think it's been a good laugh.
So yeah, so am I, but from the perspective of I've just been sat here going, this is what I want you to do, ruin Aberdeen. But
Yeah,
he'll be
if
sat
anything, he
going,
should be
no,
rising
I
in your
want to.
estimations, no?
Yeah, no, I now should love him because he's absolutely torpedoed Aberdeen's already failing season.
So you think it'll be Lennon?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And
it does
which
seem
in
that
and
way
of
with what's coming out in
itself
the press as well, isn't it?
is mental. What are they doing? I know
The-
Aberdeen fans who won't go to games. I've spoken to two Aberdeen fans who are like, that's it. I won't be going to the semi-final if we appoint them. Like,
There's
they
an
just won't be
identity
going.
crisis at that football club. I don't think they know what they want.
Long may it continue.
Absolutely.
Massive, massive fan of it. On to the Sunday, where both sides of the Old Firm played on Viaplay TV, aka Old Firm TV,
Who
which
would
is
have
just on
foreseen
that.
that?
Yeah, exactly. Celtic. You might look at the scoreline and think comfortably, but not really.
No,
Got
it was anything
past
but annoyingly.
Livingston 4-2, massively helped by the fact that Dyson Maeda got his first hat trick for the club. I think. I think it was his first hat trick.
I know it was his 100th appearance. No idea if
Yeah,
it's his
I
first
think it was
appearance or
something.
not.
It might have just been his 100th appearance, but I can't ever think of him scoring a hat trick. However, left it very late. Goals in the 86th and 90th minute. David Martindale, fair play to them. They went to Celtic Park and
Gutted
did.
for Davy because he could have
Yeah,
done with that goal, but no matter.
it would have been good. And then um, a game that is actually now going to be looked back on as being quite impactful, I think, to like the future of Scottish football crowds and stuff like that,
Yeah,
because Hibs at home fell 2-0 to Rangers, and I should actually say 9 men Hibs fell because just a mental game with
on and off the park.
yeah, a lot of ramifications that have now in the aftermath meant that Hibs are cutting Rangers allocation. There was, of course, the horrifically scary injury to Martin Boyle, which
Oh, shocker.
thankfully we've seen that Hibs have actually been really good at keeping everybody up to date with what's happening. And then Martin Boyle himself said that he's back home and that thankfully, it's a weird thing to say, but thankfully it's just a concussion. Like
I
normally
know.
that's never a
No,
good thing, but
that could have been a bad one in rivalries
yeah,
aside. I hope he's all right.
yeah, definitely. However, yeah, as I say, Hibs go down to 9 men through just losing the head, mental decisions, and Rangers kind of just comfortably see it out.
Sorry, talking about mental decisions, like I don't really know what they have to complain about
Neither do I. I don't get
with
it.
regards to the red card. The Mariah
Nope.
Welsh one in particular, I see people saying he won the ball.
He's
I'm
jumped
sorry,
off
but
the ground.
off the ground, studs showing, literally flying through the air,
Yeah,
and yet there's people coming out to defend the challenge.
crazy.
Bizarre, absolutely bizarre.
Mental. And then, yeah, as I say,
Fair
Hibs
play to them
have.
cutting the allocation, though.
Yeah, that's what I was literally just about to say. Do you
Sorry.
agree with it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
quite right.
Yeah, totally.
And with the Edinburgh Derby the way that it is, everybody talks about the Old Firm and the lack of away fans, which is an embarrassment. The two of them really do need to grow up. But I like that Hibs came out and addressed that the Edinburgh Derby will be the only fixture that's remained intact, despite obviously their antics in the way end at Tynecastle. But won't go into that. Yeah, they've got every right to. Okay, so it might not necessarily be a sellout at Easter Road, and I think that there are reasons why I can see why dads and mums don't want to take their kids to
Yeah.
games against the Old Firm. I totally understand that. Um, I think the big two, as much as the entitlement's there and the fact that they, they like to claim their Scottish football, we are the money, all this, etc., etc. I think they need to take a look in the mirror a wee bit in terms
Yep.
of fans' behaviour because, look, most Old Firm fans that I know are good people, nice people.
99.9% of them are sound and fine like everybody else.
And I'm not naive to know that, every club has got their scumbags in terms of
Yeah.
support. But the ones that are, adamant to ruin it for everybody, we're starting to see that now. And it's a real shame. I think Hibs have every right to do so, in the hope that they can try and eliminate some trouble. But there's no point, point scoring over this with certain teams trying to claim we're better behaved than
Yep.
others. You're never going to get that. It's never going to be an ideal world, but Hibs seem to be trying to make steps to at least make it better, which can only be a good thing.
Absolutely. So that did mean that as we travelled through to the west, we knew that both sides of the Old Firm and Aberdeen were waiting at Hampden. And Stephen Naismith,
Just what you want to hear, innit?
oh yeah, exactly. Just absolutely perfect. Could have been
Couldn't have gone
Livingston, Hibs
couldn't have gone
Killie.
any better that. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
fantastic.
So Stephen Naismith laid out his team to try and get past a very informed Morton, despite the fact they'd lost the past two couple of games.
Sort of like us
Yeah,
before the Rangers and Hibs games, they were on a really remarkable run. What was it, 16 games, I think,
16
unbeaten,
games.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was always going to be tough. We said that before in last week. We said it was going to be harder than Airdrie because Airdrie were quite based around playing football with a style, whereas Dougie Imrie said on View from the Terrace, he was like, we're just going to be really stodgy, physical, hard to beat.
Watch that after you said it. Good interview.
It is a good interview. He
I
comes
like the way he
across
comes
really
across.
well.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does, which is remarkable considering the wee tosser that he was as a player.
That is the thing. So many, because Scott Brown always weirdly comes across really well as like a
Yeah,
guy.
I,
And it's
I,
so
I,
weird.
I'm glad you said that about Scott Brown because it's really bizarre working with somebody that I hurled
Yeah.
abuse at from the stands.
I was going to ask you about
He's
that.
he's annoyingly nice, and
Yeah.
I don't think he knows that I'm a Hearts fan yet, which I kind of want to keep that way because I worried that if he knows that I'm a Jambo, questions might emanate after that. But let's move on.
So we'll move on to the team that Stephen Naismith chose. It was the expected change between the sticks as Craig Gordon came in, as he seems to be the cup goalkeeper this year. And in my opinion, thankfully, we stuck to the back four. I think a lot of
Absolutely.
us had worries that it was going to be the back 3/5. It wasn't. The big call was Alex Cochrane drop out of the bench, and as a result, we put the back four of Stephen Kingsley, Kai Rolls, Toby Sibic, and Dexter Lembakisa. Benny Beningame and Cammy Devlin, for the first time in ages, it felt like, were the two in
Yeah.
midfield, as a front three of Kenny Vargas, George Grant, and Alan Forrest were all just in behind Lawrence Shankland. What did you make of that?
As strong as we could have hoped for. Realistically, I was pleased to see that we weren't taking Morton lightly. My only concern was looking at the bench, if I'm honest with you. I
Yep.
thought if this is a nightmare scenario and we end up having to chase the game, there was a real distinctive lack of game changers in the final third, I thought. But then it makes sense because Barry Mackay's been out for ages. Liam Boyce, will we see Liam Boyce play football for Hearts
Yeah.
again? I just, I don't know. Yutaro Oda's another one who's out. So that was a concern in terms of, I was thinking, please don't be having to chase it and try and make alterations, look behind and then think, shit, I've not really got a lot here. I think with the team that was selected, my hope was that, or sorry, I thought that we were taking this seriously, which was encouraging, but I think we've learned over the past few years that we just in cup competitions, all that matters is the result, regardless of who you're playing,
Yep.
regardless of if it should be a comfortable afternoon. Performance doesn't necessarily have to go out the window, but it's certainly not as vital as the result. So I was confident that the 11 selected would get the result. That's for sure.
However, there was an opening warning shot 5 minutes in as Morton get the first chance of the game. They swing in a free kick that is
I was going to ask what
blocked.
you thought about the team, McIver. You were happy with it?
I was fucking furious that Cochrane wasn't playing. That's all I was focused on. That's all
Understandable.
I
Get
looked at.
who was switched in the old first scorer?
High
Did you do
rolls.
one? High rolls,
He was the
really?
only one with worse odds. So I was like, right, I'll go because everybody like
That's the logic. I like it.
Cochrane was 33 to 1, and then the next one up was like Lembikisa 18 to 1. So it was like, all
Wow,
right, I'll
really?
just look below, and the only
Please
two
gamble
below,
responsibly. Throw that in
yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. The only two below were Rolls and Civic. So I was like, right,
Just,
go and
but
Kai.
I mean, aside from the anti-Alex Cochrane disgust, you were relatively content, were you?
Yeah, I was fine with it, but I was just focusing on the
Nice.
fact that Cochrane wasn't playing. That's all I
I
cared about.
was I was astonished and devastated, but we got to see him in the end, so it's all
Yeah,
right.
exactly. It's fine. And his contribution meant that we won. That's how I'm taking it.
Yeah,
He comes on the
that's
park and we start winning. That's how it works. But
absolutely no surprise.
part of the reason that we did end up winning is thanks to an on-rushing Craig Gordon who just makes
Oh my
he
good
does a
lord.
big star jump in midair basically and manages to block the
Like
goal.
Patrick for SpongeBob.
Exactly. It's then hit by a bicycle kick over the bar. However, it is then flagged for offside. I was saying to you just before we came on, at the time, me and my dad just looked at each other and were like, what is Gordon doing? Because it felt like he was out of control completely and didn't really know where the ball was.
It certainly did feel like that. Yeah. Yeah, alongside a couple of mates at the game, I was instantly fearing the worst. I'll be honest. I thought if this is what we're enduring, an hour and a half's worth could be a long evening. Yeah, don't really know what that is. Is that just a lack of match action from Gordon that I don't know.
I mean, it worked.
Is he that determined to kind of make an early contribution, having
Yeah, he's
not
like,
been
I'm just
selected for
going to
so long?
kill somebody whoever's in the way here. I'm
I
rushing you.
don't I don't really understand it. Maybe we should have got a goalkeeper coach on to try and explain that because
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
a bizarre situation as to why he's decided to come for that. But as you say, um, got off the hook, so to speak.
Yeah, he meant to do it. It's fine. That's exactly what he hoped was going to happen. From then, barring a 5 minute spell that we'll speak about in the second half, Morton didn't do anything for basically 90 minutes. They were very compact, and I think you could tell by the crowd reaction, and they should be very proud of their players. I think a lot of people were thinking it was going to be similar to Airdrie, like neutrals were thinking, oh, Hearts will blow this Morton team away. They did well. Lewis Strap apparently has cannons for hands because his throw-ins were mental.
Missiles, yeah,
They were
absolute
getting
missiles.
faster as they were going. Normally, it's like a lot of pace and then they slow down. His throw-ins were getting quicker as they were going into the box. It was a proper like Rory Delap situation. I was glad they were getting more corners. But how did you feel they played overall? Because most of the highlights concern us.
I was going to say regarding Lewis Strap, I think I'm not sure about his contract situation, but I think he was one that they're hoping to make a good whack of dough on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
In terms of Morton, I thought they've made it tough, to be honest. I kind of didn't necessarily expect it, but I think it pretty much transpired the way that most folk thought that it was a lower league team with nothing really to lose. That it was their night, really, in terms of the crowd. I saw the general manager, Dale Pride McDonald's
Yeah,
interview today, and he was talking about how they basically want to get at least 10% of those that were there on Monday night back to the football club on a more regular basis. So I think when the fact that the telecameras are there, they're hosting the third best team in the country. It's a sellout crowd despite a Monday night, a proper cup tie. Um, I was pretty impressed. I thought they gave a really tough test for us, to be honest. And do you know what? If they're trying to make it physical in a scrap, we were up for it, which
yeah,
was nice to see because I don't think we've seen that enough, really, to be honest. I think when when things go well and we want to play, if it's on to play, we do. But sometimes you need that other side where it could be a little bit more rough and rugged. and sometimes it's just a battle, really. So you've got to be up for that. And I felt as though we basically coped with most of what they threw at us, which was encouraging because I haven't really seen that dirty side too often from Hearts
Yeah,
recently.
definitely. The next highlight doesn't come for another 20 minutes. So in the 21st minute, Grant crosses from a corner, which eventually finds its way to Shankland, who fires well over
That was
through
the
the edge of the
first of
box.
very few sniffs that the main man had, which again is credit to Dougie Imrie and their setup because when you're nullifying a threat in the form of Lawrence Shankland, who's probably the best striker in the country, I thought they did really well. And I also thought that their fans gave him absolute dog's abuse whenever
Yeah,
they
they did.
could, which I don't know if that necessarily helped the players, but it must have done because it really wasn't Shankland's night. And how often have we said that since he signed for the football club?
Well, I was going to say, I think it's his worst performance for us ever.
I I would be inclined to agree. I can't think of
There's no other glaring game where you're like, oh God,
no.
mind when he was. And I don't even mean he was like
Is
awful. It's
he
just he didn't do anything.
no McIver that one he balloons over the bar, and I think he had another one. I mean, he plays his part as we'll get on to, but really, it shouldn't be Kenneth Vargas that's writing the
He
headlines.
doesn't really know that he plays his part. It's not like we'll
No,
get to it, but it's not like he
it
passes it. It
no,
just ends up at
that's
Vargas.
what I mean. It's unintentional. And you know what? I feel as though the Derby Easter Road, you could have maybe said that, but he tucks the
It
winner
doesn't
and
matter.
all's
Yeah.
forgiven. Do you know what I mean? So, in terms of an actual complete performance, I can't, I can't for the life of me think of a worse one. No, I probably would go along with that.
Imagine that.
But
Imagine
that's
if
what happened. Like, these
technically,
happen.
imagine if technically his worst ever game, he gets an assist. Like that's the standard he's
That's
set
it.
for
He's
it.
that's his own fault. He's set the bar far too high.
Yes, exactly. He is involved, however. Devlin finds Vargas, who finds Shankland on the 27th minute. He then crosses it to Forrest at the back post, whose shot is eventually ricocheted out for a corner. Then, about two
That was
minutes later,
unlucky.
that was really unlucky. Lembikisa crosses it to the front post, which is met by Shankland, whose shot on the spin is palmed out for another corner, which then from that, Alan Forrest drives into the box and takes a shot towards goal that's deflected out for another corner. It just feels like there was like a 15-minute period where there was seven corners in a row.
Yeah, the annoyance is obviously Frankie Kent's missing,
Yeah.
another absentee, um, for that little bit of aerial threat. But Kyrill's and Toby Sibbick are big boys, but it just like again, our delivery is bogging for the most part.
Aye, it wasn't great, was it?
And I know that there's statistics that have come out with regards to how rare it is that you actually do score from a corner
Oh,
kick.
it's like fans have it so much higher in their heads. Like it's
But
almost never.
but you could at least like I don't know, mix it up and just cause chaos and see what happens. It doesn't necessarily have to be a header directly from a corner.
We have two very clear plans from corners, and I don't think it's ever. I don't think the plan is ever to cross a ball in to head it in. It's either we go front post for Rogues to flick on, back like further into the box, or back post for Kingsley to head back across.
Yeah, and like it again, like they've obviously done their research and thought, well, we'll try and get a rebound or a knockdown or something or other. But I don't know. Just would like to see us be a little bit more threatening from corners because it's not really panned out that way. We're actually more threatening, I think, from free kicks than we
Yeah,
are
definitely.
corner kicks. Whether that's Kingsley taking it directly or like a Forest floater, and
Yeah.
again, sort of the same scenario from the corners where we try and
Last
maybe
season,
head one
Cochrane
on
got a
or
load of
whatever.
assists for Shankland by just
There
whipping
you
balls
go.
in for free kicks.
There you go. So, yeah, bizarre situation, but yeah. I mean, it wasn't a classic in saying this. Like, I love my night, but it wasn't the best game. I think the first 45 in particular, if you didn't have an invested interest in either Morton or Hearts or the cup draw itself, you'd have flicked over to Chelsea Newcastle.
Yeah.
Really, if we're being honest, but. Um, yeah, it just it did feel as though like it was maybe coming toward the end of the first half, but no, not really. Nothing too clear cut, I didn't think.
The last chance of the half was Civic plays a ball over the top for Vargas, who finds Shankland at the edge of the box. He then feeds it out to Kingsley, who crosses a ball into the back post that looks like it's about to go out of play, but Vargas actually does really well. He kind of just grab it and chuck it back towards goal, ends up at Shankland's feet. However, it goes past the post. And that was kind of the biggest chance in that wee moment there.
I'm glad you said that about Vargas on the right-hand side because I felt that he and Forrest got next to no balls down the channels at all. I thought Lembakisa had a shocker, if I'm honest with you.
Well, this is the thing. I thought in the first half, Lembakisa wasn't great. I thought he improved slightly, but he kept putting passes. When he did look for Vargas, he was putting passes that had spin on it to take them out of play each time.
Exactly. Kenneth Vargas, his first touch, he'd do well to keep it in most of the time from
Yeah,
when they're like shunned down the line. And I think Alex Cochrane is a far better fullback than Stephen Kingsley just because he's that bit more mobile.
yeah.
So, as much as I love Stephen Kingsley, I don't feel as though he's going to overlap as much as Cochrane would down that other side. So, it was a wee bit imbalanced, and I just felt as though like the balls down the channels just weren't all that effective at all. How many times did we see them kind of Vargas literally be chalk on the boots to then just get nailed and not really go anywhere? It
Yeah.
was as though we were just trying to win throw-ins constantly down the right-hand side, and nothing really happened down the left. I don't know. When you're trying to get Forrest and Vargas in behind, it wasn't working as well as we'd hoped. And I don't know whether that's down to us. I don't know whether that's down to Morton's game plan and just stifling us in the wide areas. But yeah, really, really bizarre in terms of trying to carry that threat because I'm still convinced that our midfield just don't know how to play a forward pass for the most time. So you basically are gagging on somebody in the wide areas to make something happen.
Funnily enough, I actually thought Vargas and Forrest both had very good games despite that, because a lot of it
Yeah.
they were just doing it themselves. Like Forrest
They
especially,
look
which
the
is his
biggest
thing.
threat,
Yeah,
which is what I'm saying. Like considering the rank service that they got from the fullbacks, I actually thought the two of them were pretty good.
yeah. That is when halftime came and went. As you said,
Not a
wasn't a
classic.
lot of clear-cut chances. I did feel we were in reasonably similar areas, but far enough apart from each other that we will definitely have had different crowd reactions. I felt there was entitlement isn't the right word, but I felt there was a lot of impatience from those around me where
Yeah,
like,
some just rocking up and just expecting us to rock up and steamroll our
yeah,
leagues as though it's that easy. Yeah.
it's not like we had that first half where we don't score and we're under the caution. You're like, what the fuck's happening? Like wave after wave of Morton attack. We controlled that half completely. We were maybe a bit too slow in some moments. Morton, as you said, were really compact and wanted us to go out wide instead of penetrating through the middle. But the way it, and I kind of continued into the second half, the way some folk around me were acting was as if like, this is it, we're getting beat 2-0 and this is an absolute disaster.
I think what's important to consider is, there's not a great deal in terms of lower Premiership and higher Championship when it
Yeah.
comes to Scottish football. They've already claimed a scalp with Motherwell. They'll be fancying their chances up against Hearts at home. Make no mistake, we're the perceived favourites. But I wrote Dean, who runs the Morton Forum, got in touch with me, and I wrote a wee piece for him saying that we cannot afford to take Morton lightly,
Yeah.
given they've had that scalp with Motherwell in the previous round. They're at home. I've already mentioned the crowd, Dougie Imrie, young bright coach. Like it's it's never going to be routine.
Yeah.
I don't. When have we ever followed Hearts and it be routine?
The only example I have is Airdrie, and that's because they played a really like open
Correct,
style.
expansive and open game, and we just picked them off because we're better.
Yeah.
Morton not shut up shop, but
They
we're a lot more
they played an
defensively
effective
astute.
defensive plan.
Yeah, it's up to us to break them down. If if we can't, then that's on us. Um, yeah, I don't get that. And again, like maybe it is somewhat of an arrogance or just neglecting the fact that you mentioned they've lost back to back, but prior to that, on a ridiculous run. Yeah, I don't know. Is it just because we're flying? I don't know. It's never it never pans out the way that you think it
Yeah.
does.
It was
To be
also
honest, we're never riding down easy street that often, are we?
no, exactly. It is 100%. It was also funny when that starts happening, and then you start hearing other people give their really loud opinions that contradict somebody else, but they didn't just want to turn around and go, "Shut the fuck up, you idiot!" So like the amount of times there was one guy kind of behind us who was furious at Benny and Devlin the whole game, who I thought actually played quite well, both of them. He was
Yeah.
like, they're fucking shit. Macaulay Tate and Aidan Denham should be in ahead of them. And then about 5 seconds later, there'd be another guy who really loudly would be like, "Oh, what's Benny meant to do? He's got no options." So they just kind of are playing insult tennis between each other.
I like that. I like the guy that's calling for Tate and Denham because they're the types that are the first to be like, could do a more experienced kind of hatchet man in there alongside the
Exactly.
young man, and you're like, what? Like, makes no sense.
Aye. The first big chance of the half comes for us. 54th minute, Kingsley crosses into the near post and it's met by Benny, but it's headed over the bar. He's kind of like the one person in that area you don't want there. You want your Shagcoins Forests, Vargases, even Kami. You don't want Benny Beningame running in for a header at the near post.
You just tell that he's in such uncharted territory.
Yeah,
Just does not know what to do. Wicked delivery in, to be fair.
it is.
He's got to score. He's got to score.
I
I
know.
love Benny Beningame, but just keep him outside of the opposition box at all costs because it's just not where he belongs.
Yeah, it's not at all. A minute later is when the most action-packed 90 seconds happens from the game, barring the very end. Because Morton get a corner, it's crossed in. Gordon does well to push out a header from Baird before Grant nicks in just as a Morton player was about to volley it, and he nicks it in actually against him. Grant's one contribution to the entire game. Gets a goal
I'm
kick.
glad you said it.
I'll let you speak about it in a minute.
My
Immediately,
goodness.
the goal kick is played up. It's then played backwards. Sibic does well to keep the ball in the corner and clear, but it's played back into the box. Sibic then falls, and Gordon makes a great save with his leg. But from
Outstanding
that
save.
save, we then counter, and we have a 5-on-3. Hearts, we then break, but
Sorry,
Devlin's
sorry. We are the only club in world football that does not score a 5-on-3. I'm sick of saying it because of how many times you see it and it break down. I didn't get too excited because I knew what was coming here, but carry on.
Devlin is the main person running with the ball, and his
Oh,
attempted pass is, in fairness, cut out at like
no,
Premiership level
no.
defending
Yeah,
from
but
the
it's a
Morton
terrible
player.
pass.
It's a bad
If
pass, but
Cam,
I also think it's amazing defending.
they do well, but let's be frank. If Cammy Devlin could pass, with all due respect, he would not be here. That is fact.
But you wanted to speak about George Grant.
Uh, You say this like there's stuff to talk about. Like
Yeah,
what does
I
he
think that's
do?
maybe the bigger point because I was about to say at this point, this was when the double change happened in the 63rd minute. Lembikisa and Grant got taken off for Atkinson and Cochrane, with Cochrane
Right
being played as a
changes,
centre mid.
100% they were the right changes. And I said I'd rather see Aaron Fraser than Scott Fraser. I said to my mate Rab, who's a big George Grant fan, I'd rather see Hugh Grant than George Grant in our midfield. I really would. I don't see what he contributes. I haven't since he arrived at the football club. It's amazing that despite this run, despite the positive times, the good times rolling, it's great to be a Hearts fan right here, right now. I've still got a select few that I can't take to.
He just contributed to a big win over Celtic.
McIver, anybody can score for 12 yards, mate.
Lauren Shankland can't this season, but most of the time.
Yeah, because I don't know, he just saves like a highlight reel from here, there, and
Because
everywhere.
he's just
Shanklin.
basically doing that thing in
He doesn't
FM where
need
you've
them. I
you've
mean,
won everything and you just go into these special unlockables. So he's just like going, right, I'll just not score pens and I'll still get 20 goals.
they'd have given the golden boot out already. He's trying to give
Yeah.
others a chance to catch.
Majowski, come on. I'm doing everything I can to keep you
Exactly.
here.
Now Peter Leven's back in that Don's dugout.
Oh,
He's
no.
Bojan Miovski's clapping his hands. Um,
Exactly.
like, just
Yeah. George Grant did
yeah.
not have a good game, essentially.
I'm just thinking I would love to see Jan Dander play for Ross County at the minute and have a look at what we're getting, but again, just doesn't seem to be happening.
No,
So
and apparently he's training really, really badly, which is why Dog Cowy's like, he's not getting in the team. And it's like, oh,
that's
great. That's what we
great. Just
want.
yeah, just what I needed to hear.
Love
Marvelous.
that. Atkinson, with his first contribution, plays a really big ball over the top, knocked down by Shanklin to Devlin, whose effort from the edge of the box is palmed away by Mullen, who I actually thought had quite a good game. Mullen in goals for them. Really young keeper. We were listening on the radio on the way back that he'd been to South America. Like when he was at Clyde, he paid out his own pocket to go to South America to sort an injury. He came back, and like when you're on part-time money at Clyde, you did get a lot of money. He did that, came to Morton, and there's apparently people in at least the top flight in the Scottish leagues looking at him already. Only 22. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, it was decent. Couple good stops. Yeah, I think that's part of this clash as well. You know, Morton players will be thinking, yeah, this is great that we've reached the cup quarter final, but this is a great chance for me. You know, football's a selfish business. People act in their self-interests, and I'm not talking about just clubs. I'm talking about players. This is, a cup quarter final on the telly, packed out crowd, full to the gunnels. That's the type of clash that you'd love as a player.
Gowser said that on the radio. That's what Gowser was saying.
What that they'll put themselves in the
That
shop window.
yeah, it's a good advertisement for them to get a move.
100%. There's a massive, massive incentive. And listen, the incentive to get to Hampden as well and
Mhm.
show what you can do at the National Stadium is brilliant. But Morton had basically hit the jackpot. And I don't want to come across arrogant when I say that. In terms of us coming to town,
Yeah.
because the BBC chose it as for selection, everybody was talking about it, given that it was the last fixture on the card. Okay, whatever. Two teams in great form, going toe to toe, proper cup tie. Yeah, absolutely. I thought a couple of them put themselves within that shop window. Not a problem.
Definitely. Devlin plays a great ball, actually. Speaking about his lack of passing ability, plays a great ball over the top to Lon
Even a broken
Shankland.
clock tells the
Yeah,
correct time,
true.
place, a day, McIver.
Very true. Plays it over the top to Lon Shankland, who basically does what Tagoa did against Celtic, where he just gets the ball completely caught at his feet. Manages, however, to get it to Vargas. Mullen makes himself massive, so Vargas tries to chip it over him, succeeds, but chips it over the entire goal frame. It kisses the top of the bar and just goes over the top. What were you thinking at this point? Because as I was saying to you before we recorded, this entire game I was quite comfortable. I was like, we're dominating this. We're going to win this. It's just a matter of when we score. Even at this point, I was like, this is just us now getting chances. We're going to create more, which we do. I imagine you were thinking, that's the chance.
I'm thinking, how many more do you want to pass up? And I'm also thinking, we're going to Ross County on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a journey that you want to be doing, having just played 2 hours and potentially penalty kicks on a Monday night. I know they play Hibs on Wednesday before somebody says that, but yeah, I'm thinking, please. I was so relieved as to what happened because the longer that it goes on, you just start to get not nervous as such, but you do question, is this going to be our night after all? And some of the chances that we passed up. You know, it's bad when Lauren Shanklin's not got his shooting boots on, but my God, some of the other ones, like the Benny chance, I'm thinking sitter. Vargas does really well, bar the finish. But he's got to score.
Yeah.
Got
And
to
then,
score. He really, like, I love wee Vargas. I do. I can't help but take to him, but there is a small part of me that just thinks, how can you do what you do sometimes, and yet the easier chances he seems to spurn,
because
like
he's
the
young,
but like the Livingston goal, I can instantly think of off the top of my head, like the touch to set himself, swivel and finish, like magnificent,
yeah,
brilliant, out of this world. And yet some of the other chances that he passes up, you're thinking, how, like, this can't be the same person.
Yeah.
It can't.
It's
But
just
I think
because
that's what makes
he's
him that
young.
little
It's
bit more,
inconsistent,
and exactly,
enigmatic.
he's raw. Like, this just adds to the fun. This adds to the, I was going to say cult hero-ness. This adds to the cult
Yeah,
that is
exactly.
Kenneth Vargas. What a boy.
Second final moment to mention, Kingsley slips through Aidan Denham into the box, who has a chance to get his first goal for the club and send his club to Hampden. However, it's a relatively tame effort that is eventually blocked
Say
by
that
Mullen.
again.
Yeah, but
Again, this was like Macaulay Tate against Celtic,
yeah,
where
it
you're just
was.
like, go on, do it, do
Yeah,
it. Love to see a young man make a name for himself and get on that score sheet, but just wasn't to be, unfortunately. It'll come. It'll come for the pair of them.
it will. At Hampden against Rangers, it'll be
Nice. That would be nice.
as we get beat 5-2. But they score two goals. It's going to be great. And talking about scoring goals, the final moment of the game, Benny Beningame wins the ball about 10 yards into our half. And then for the first time in what feels like his life, he
Plays a
just
forward
goes,
pass.
well, not even just that. He
Oh,
himself drives forward about 40 yards.
I know. Again, like, I don't know if it's just because whenever you watch him, he looks leggy, but sometimes he's just got space to roam into, and you're just like, let's
Be it.
move. Come on,
Yes, absolutely.
drive.
Well, he definitely drove forward there, finds Shankland in the penalty area.
Great ball.
Again, kind of gets his feet wrong
Oh
and just
God.
starts to overrun it.
And
But
you're thinking
that,
if he's having a humming
oh
night,
yeah,
then it's not happening here.
but his overrun is thankfully met by Kenny Vargas, who at a tight angle just decides, I'm just hitting this as hard as I
And
can.
this is what I mean, like stunning finish.
Yeah, drives a shot low past Mullen and goals, who had a good night, but Hearts are going to Hampden as a result of Kenny Vargas.
Good night, Greenock. You'll love to see it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, just pleased that it came finally. Hallelujah. A weight off all our minds. I thought the Gorgie Ultras were really good behind the goal, and I thought that the limbs actually for the Vargas winner were brilliant. I've watched it back a couple
Thank
of
you for
times.
raising that because I started
Oh.
celebrating for about 10 seconds and then immediately stopped because in the celebration, Kier, my brother, full on punched me in the jaw and I thought I'd broken my jaw for about 5 minutes. It was fucking agony. So me and my brother just stopped celebrating as he's like, are you all right? Are you all right? And I'm like, I think so. I might be fine. But it's a testament to how good the celebrations were in that
It
moment
was
for Kenny
great.
Vargas.
A thoroughly enjoyable evening. Eventually saved by our young Costa Rican, who spurned a glorious chance beforehand, as a few of his teammates did. But like I said earlier on in the podcast, the result was all that mattered. Greenock Morton nil, Heart of Midlothian 1, Hampden bound once again.
And there was about 5 minutes of jubilation as we're coming out. And then I don't know how you've heard it, but I was walking down these
My mate
steps
was watching the draw.
and I heard a guy shout, "We've got Rangers." And suddenly everyone's like, "What?" And you check it. And yes, we move on to the draw.
Flat by the time I eventually left Capello.
Yes, exactly. The kind
Hey
of
ho.
immediate elation was undercut slightly as the draw was made and the first two teams out the hat in alphabetical order were Aberdeen and then Celtic and then Hearts and then Rangers. So
Can
cool.
I ask, what did you think the draw would be? Because I had a couple, like, I thought for all intents and purposes, it would be Aberdeen versus Rangers and Hearts versus Celtic. So that the SFA would be licking their lips at Aberdeen and Rangers continuing their weird little rivalry. The Old Firm being kept apart because they're expected to go through and create that final. Um, and the narrative would be that, Hearts had beaten Celtic twice in league duty, but ultimately in the cup at Hampden, when it mattered, they didn't. So I was absolutely fixated on the fact that I thought that it would be Aberdeen Rangers and Hearts Celtic, like I say.
I was just thinking if we win this, we're going to get Rangers because it's the worst draw possible. It's so clearly the worst draw
Yeah,
for
by a
us.
mile. By a mile. But in saying this, I've talked about how we can't afford to take other teams lightly. The Old Firm can't afford to take. Well, Aberdeen aren't exactly the strongest case for that other semi-final, but
Yeah,
I look. Think like the law of averages says that things must come to an end. We have never beaten Rangers at Hampden in our history. There is a time for that to change. This is that time.
I've got a question for you though.
Yes.
Who do you want to win the other semi-final?
Oh.
Because the thing is, if Aberdeen say the miracle happens and we beat Rangers, right? And we're in the
And
final.
Aberdeen get through, then we're overwhelming favourites probably.
We are overwhelming favourites, which are like good, but the downside to that is if Aberdeen win the cup, we don't get group stage European football. So if
But
Celtic win, we're not
no.
favourites, but
Yeah, yeah.
you can go in going, regardless of what happens today,
European football
the
secure.
fallback
Yeah,
is
yeah.
we've got group stage European
Yeah.
football.
Is that
I don't
it's
know
a
what the answer is. I genuinely don't know.
it's a good dilemma for us to have.
Yep.
Put it that way. I'd rather Aberdeen go through. Because if we had Aberdeen in a final at Hampden,
I
there
couldn't
is enough
handle it. I couldn't handle that.
McIver, there's enough of an incentive there, not only to secure European group stage football, that should be done, but to win the Scottish Cup,
I know. I
we're
agree,
never going to
right?
get a better
I
chance.
fully agree. But here's my one
But by the
glaring
same
issue.
score, I would love to do Celtic in a final because of
Oh,
the heartbreak of the
yep.
COVID Cup final, 2019. Like we've literally lost in every single way that we possibly could.
Yeah.
It felt like to them. We've seen a cup final victory over Hibs. You just
I have.
saw a
Yeah.
final victory over Rangers. I missed out by a month. But if we beat one of the Old Firm in the final,
Yeah.
that having done the other in the
Yeah.
semi-final, it does not get any better than that.
Yeah. The issue I have with Aberdeen is that every single time it's in Edinburgh, Hearts win. Every single time it's in Aberdeen,
Yeah, what
Aberdeen win.
happens in
What
Glasgow?
happens at
Yeah,
a neutral venue?
yeah, it's a fair point. And look, your dad will probably be in the exact same boat as my dad, in that you dare not mention the year after 1985 and before 1987.
Yeah.
We lost a final to that team
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
This would be a good chance to rewrite some
It
history
would. But
and gain some revenge, some form of revenge. But
we're not going to do it because we're going to get absolutely battered at Hampden by Rangers.
no, well, but the television companies, the media, all the West Coast wankers of the world will be absolutely thrilled that Celtic and Rangers will probably reach the Scottish Cup final. But how good would it be if we just pissed all over their parade?
I know.
I genuinely think life would just peak. I don't think I'd be able to contain myself.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, though,
I don't think anybody would see me for a fortnight.
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
even know where I'd go. I'd just go from boozer to boozer and just not eat anything. See what happens.
Thankfully, we are in that position, unlike Aberdeen, where it's like, if we get beat and Celtic go through the other one, at least we can fall back on the fact where it's like, all right, okay, that is us got group stage European football.
Oh yeah.
What do you think, for example? I heard people saying about this that it would have been better to get Aberdeen now, or if somehow both of us go through and both the Old Firm gets knocked out, it all depends on like Aberdeen's league position. Because what if they're 11th and like they've got to worry about
Just chuck the
playoff?
cup final.
Yeah, exactly. Be like, we need to stay in the league. But every Aberdeen fan would go, yes, we'll take going down
If it
and
meant
winning
winning
the
the Scottish
cup.
Cup, of
Yeah,
course they would. Of course they would.
exactly.
The ideal draw was Aberdeen.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Like
definitely.
all day, a big hitter gone in the name of one of the Old Firm. Yes, we would have to play one of them in the final if we get there.
But anything can happen on a day.
Exactly.
Whereas now
Like,
we need to do it twice.
McIver, we've seen enough finals recently. We've been coming regularly to Hampden to know that if you knock on the door enough times, eventually somebody's going to let you in. And this is actually a decent way to kind of end the discussion regarding Morton, because I see today that it's something like the fifth time that we've reached both semi-finals, both cup semi-finals in a season. This should be the bar now. Like the fans have saved this football club. We're pouring in more money than we know what to do with. The exact same, and we're making various avenues that are generating revenue in the name of the hotel. Whatever. Hearts are in as good a place off the park as we have ever seen,
Yeah.
and arguably could ever see. On the park, it's now becoming more consistent. You know, if we finish third, that's two third place finishes in the last 3 years. And the only exception was occupying third for most of the season, eventually falling away to, let's be honest, a fluky Aberdeen. This should be the new norm now.
Yeah.
Semi-finals, trips to Hampden on a regular basis. Trying just, I'm not saying to challenge for the league because it is unrealistic, but just keep on an even keel, keep chipping away and find that consistent footing year upon year upon year, with the hope that, as you said, we could catch the Old Firm on an off day. It happens.
Yeah.
It's happened in the past. It will probably happen again in the future. So it's going really well. But like we're setting the bar that high that if you can't like it, lump it. This should be the new norm. This is what we should be accustomed to seeing year upon year upon year upon year, season upon season upon season upon season.
Well, to do that and keep in that vein of rich form, you need to go to places like Ross County and win, as
Very
we are
true.
hoping to do this Saturday. Now, there is a part I've seen a lot of Hearts fans say it on Twitter, being like, do we just let County win for the Aberdeen situation? We've got third. It's kind of just like, it wouldn't be the worst game in the world to lose.
Simultaneously, on that same score, I know that we often moan about the teams that kind of just pick up form before they play us. They host Hibs on Wednesday night. I'm more than happy for Ross
Oh,
County to win that
please.
game prior
Oh,
to us
please,
playing them.
County. Come on, win it by a cricket score for all I care.
Would we like County to do a Capital City double? Is the question.
I wouldn't be raging
I'm
about it.
I,
Again, it's that thing of like, you'd be annoyed at the loss, but if Aberdeen also lost, you'd be like,
oh,
oh, it's a point. Oh, it's a
all
point.
all day, yeah, because they go to Dundee as well on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Another rearranged game. Yeah, and you know we played Kilmarnock and St Mirren
Mm-hmm.
back to back.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're our nearest two challengers for third place. If we picked up 6 points from those, then it's as good as done anyway.
I think
So,
it is as good as done anyway.
so
I want us to win, but I won't be apoplectic with
disappointed
rage
if not.
if we, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, that's a great position to be in.
yeah, it's great. We're just good and it's weird. What is your score prediction?
That being said, I do think we will win. 2-1,
I was going to
2-1
say
Hearts.
2-0.
Nice. Again, don't know how they'll get on in midweek, but yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll
was going to say that
I'll go
affects
2-1.
it a lot, like depending on the result.
That's nice though. We'll keep separate scores.
Yeah,
Are you naming like a scorer or
I
what?
was going to say Tagawa and Shanklin because I'm just still on this bandwagon that
Agawa and
Tagawa's going to
Shanklin.
score.
I
Shanklin the
think.
early doors, then Tagawa cleans it up in the 80th minute.
I mean, Shanklin's got to get back on the goal trail. I'll go Shanklin and Vargas again. Why not?
Perfect. Sounds good. Right. Before we finish, as ever,
Oh
we have the
God.
quiz. So, this quiz is mainly focused around Hearts and Morton. So, be
Okay.
interested to see how you do. As ever, we have the true or false, multiple choice, and two normal questions before the ever popular and segment Adam loves the most, Who Am I? So,
My own fault.
we start with just a regular question.
That's never good.
Before last night's game, what was the score in the last result between Hearts and Morton?
Oh, which one was the last? Oh,
The first
I can.
season that we properly did this show, we
Yeah,
covered it.
I can remember us drawing one each at Tynecastle because Craig McGuffey scored absolute worldie for
And
Morton,
a
if I
raker.
remember correctly.
Yep.
But did that cut? No, did that come before a win through there? Kind of think that it did. Oh God. Oh, this is horrible. I'm in two minds as to whether it was a one each draw at Tynecastle or a 2-0 win for Hearts. I'm going to say 2-0 Hearts. Was it Jamie Walker double? Is that right?
So
Going to be the one each, isn't it?
it is neither of those results.
Oh wow, really?
The
1-0
last
Hearts?
game that Hearts played against Morton was the third last game of the championship season. The week after, beating Alloa 6
Oh
0
my God,
at
it finished
home,
0-0.
and it was 0-0.
Oh, you bastard, I remember it now. Did we not get Jamie on to discuss that? Because it was genuinely one of the worst games of football that we've ever seen.
Yes, we
Jamie
did.
McIntosh, I think, came on.
Yep.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah.
It's an easily forgettable game of football. I'm not even annoyed that I got that wrong because a stinker.
Very
Oh,
fair.
that was tough.
So,
Oh well, we
multiple
move.
choice now.
Right, okay.
Before Kenny Vargas scored last night, who was the last player to score against Morton for Hearts?
Oh,
Now, I will tell you, and I'll give you this clue, everyone I'm about to mention scored for Hearts against Morton in that season. But
okay.
it's who did it the closest
Last.
to our
Yeah.
current time.
Okay.
Is it A, Jamie Walker? Is it
Was my
B,
first answer.
Liam Boyce? Is it C, Michael Smith? Or is it D, the current gaffer, Stephen Naismith?
I oh I thought Walker was nearest. I'll go Jamie Walker.
The correct answer is Jamie Walker
Nice.
in a
Whew, was that the one each?
nope, in a 2
2-0
0
win.
win. Yes, 2
Mhm.
0. Well done.
Okay.
So you're one for
Thanks.
two. No bad. True or false? Kenny Vargas has scored in every cup game for Hearts this season.
What, as in Scottish Cup or Scottish and League?
Every cup game.
Then it has to be false.
Does it?
Like
Is that your answer?
he has in every Scottish Cup game, but in
I
the
will
League Cup,
say, game that he's played in.
oh. No, because I remember him at Hampden against Rangers, so I'm gonna say false. You try to
Correct.
catch me out. Yeah,
Well done.
nice. You
He never
bastard.
s- he made he's made three appearances
Was
in
that the only
both.
exception?
No. He
No.
scored in each of his Scottish Cup games
Scottish Cup games, yeah.
and he scored none
Spartans,
in his
Airdrie, and
three.
now Morton.
Yeah.
All right, okay, yeah.
And then he played three in the League Cup and he never scored any.
Well, there you go. Nice.
And then last night,
You're all right here. I thought this was going to be a
you're doing well.
shambles. This is nice. Thanks, mate.
Last night, Hearts ensured that they have reached, as you said, at least, fingers crossed, the
Hopefully
semi-finals
more.
of both domestic cup competitions in the same season.
Yeah.
But how many times have we done that in our history? And then I've kind of got a second part of the question, but we'll see
Okay.
if you can get the first part of the question.
I thought I saw that this was our fifth time, so four previously.
So
Please
including
don't be
last
five and
night,
six. Yeah, this is now the fifth time. Is that right?
correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And then the second part of the question is, how many of them have happened in our lifetime?
Oh, I thought I saw this. Is this not? Oh, it's either three or four. I think it's three.
Very well done. It
Nice.
is three. It's actually not only just in our
Big up
lifetime.
Hearts Heritage. I saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's
Thank God.
three since 2018.
That's mental.
It's just
Jesus.
crazy. So
Crikey.
you
What
got
was the
three or
first one
four.
then? Was that 1920, the first? Because
Something
it
like
carried
that, yeah.
over.
And then I think it was. Oh no, I think it was since the 40s. I think it was since
No, sorry.
1947.
I meant the 2019-20 was
Oh,
one that
sorry.
like the
Yeah,
technicality with COVID was one. Was it 1819 before that?
1819 was yeah.
Yeah.
So fair
Wow,
play
bloody
to
hell.
us. We smashed it. But
Come
yeah,
on, Hearts.
3 out of 4 in the quiz. You've
That's
done
all
well.
right. I'm happy with that. But much like if Hearts were to make it to a final against one of the old firm, group stage football, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, is secure. So anything
Yes.
else is just an added bonus.
So we come to the who am I? Are you ready?
No, carry on.
Okay. Before joining Hearts, I had stints at both members of the Old Firm's academy. I was named in an article of 6 top Scottish football prospects to look out for. I have played in Scotland and Northern Ireland. I've scored 1 goal for the club, which was in the competition we just played in last night. And after making a few appearances for Hearts, and the manager at the time stating that they are really looking forward to introducing me regularly, I had a serious injury that meant I rarely featured again before leaving the club. Who am I?
Oof,
I will get this man's Wikipedia up.
Jesus H. Only played in Scotland and Northern Ireland, did you say?
Yes, correct.
For both of the firms' academies. Oh God. Right, I'm gonna have to ask, what years did they play for Hearts? Because again, no idea.
They played for Hearts between 2016 and 2020.
16,
I promised you
2020.
in recent weeks I'd give you a recent one.
Both the old firms' academies. I'm thinking of somebody like a Lewis Moore. I don't like it can't be. Don't look at me like that. Nothing else is popping into my skull. I'll be honest. To just ask what position they played. That must be around the time that he left the club. But I'm trying to think who the goal would have come against. Airdrie maybe in that 5-zip. Was he one of the scorers then? I don't know.
Is that your question?
No, they just ask the position and then go from there. I think I do because 1 goal wouldn't be all that impressive if it. Yeah. Yeah, what position did they play, McIver?
They played for Hearts as a striker.
It's a striker. And they were at both the old firms' academies. Oh, God. 2016 to 2020.
Yep.
Who would have been some of the guff that we had then?
Hey, he was named one of the 6 top Scottish football prospects to look out for.
Oh, God. I didn't ask clubs because meaningless. I'm not going to know. Like, you might list them off after we're done and I'll go, oh, yeah,
Yep.
that's obvious. God, a striker. Both Old Firm Club's academies.
Yep.
2016 to 2020. I'm trying to let a name pop into the noggin,
Yeah.
but it's just not happening. I think who would have left the club in 2020? So we've just been relegated. So it
Demoted.
would have been nice. It would have been Connor Washington, Uche Piezu, Stephen McLean, no. But then he went down to England, so that takes away. Oh God. Northern Ireland. Who will have made a career for themselves in Northern Ireland? Somebody like an Aidan Keena plays in the Republic of Ireland, so it can't be him. Who else would have been around that time? Did Craig Whiten have a spell over in Northern Ireland? I don't think he did. I'm also certain that he came through the Dundee youth system. And we ended up paying the dosh. Oh God. I feel like this should be glaringly obvious, but it's just not. It's not happening for me. Striker. Both the old firm. Can you repeat the clues, McIver? Sorry.
Of course I can. Before joining Hearts, I had stints at both Old Firm academies. I was named in an article of 6 top Scottish football prospects to look out for. I have played in Scotland and Northern Ireland. I scored 1 goal for the club in the competition we just played in last night. And after making a few appearances for the club, and the manager at the time stating they are really looking forward to introducing me regularly, I had a serious injury that meant I rarely featured again before leaving the club.
2016.
It's a weird period of time because we just had so many people come and go.
It can't be somebody like a Ewan Henderson, is it?
I'm saying nothing.
2016 to 2020. Because I'm thinking, did he bag against Airdrie? Why am I so fixated on this Airdrie game? Like it was the only cup game that ever was played between
In
2016 and
fairness, there's a
2020.
lot of it was multiple goal scorers in that game, and a lot of people played in it that didn't feature a lot.
Scotland and Northern Ireland. The trouble is, I don't know who Ewan Henderson plays for now, and that's quite a big pressing issue. It sort of just seems to have disappeared into oblivion. He was at Alloa. Is he at Aki's? I don't know. Oh, nobody else is popping into my head. It can't be right. I've got nobody else. My initial thought was when you said about the one goal would be like a Gordon Smith, because I'm certain he got the winner against Auchinleck Talbot, but again, times don't match up because that was 2012 and this is 2016 to 2020. I'm going to say, because I've got nobody else in my head, that it's Ewan Henderson, and I think it's wrong.
Was it no David Smith that scored against Talbot?
No, is David Smith not the winger? And Gordon Smith was the
I'm
centre
going to keep
forward.
everyone in suspense as I check this.
Why have you now got me like second guessing here?
It was Gordon Smith. Well done.
Yeah,
You
thank
got
you.
that right. You didn't get the who am I right.
Who was it?
It was Rory Curry.
Jesus, wow. I know the goal as well. Wraith Rovers replay
Yes,
under
correct.
Cathro.
Well done.
Yeah, I didn't know that he spent time at both the Old Firms academies though.
Not only did he do that, he flitted between them. So
Jesus, as you do.
2000, 2007 to 2011, he was at Rangers. 2011 to 2015, he was at Celtic. Then for a final year, he went back
Crikey.
to Rangers before we then signed him.
Who does he play for now? Rory Curry.
So this is what I was about to get into. So I did that. Yeah, in 2017, he was named in an article of 6 top Scottish football prospects. Would you like to hear the
Bloody
other
hell.
ones?
Yeah, go for it.
We
Any other Hearts
have,
players? No.
no, we have Jack Aitchison.
Oh yeah, Celtic. No, I think went down south to Barnsley, didn't he?
He was at
At Motherwell
Barnsley
for a wee
up
spell.
until last season, and now he's at Exeter.
Oh, Exeter,
He
well.
was all. Were
Under
you about to
under
say
Gary
Forest?
Caldwell. Did Gary Caldwell sign him?
I
Forest
don't
Green
know.
as well. I
He
remember he
was
was that
at.
as well.
Yep, he
Yeah.
was them on loan. Liam Burt.
Oh Jesus, the less said about him, the better.
Yep.
Move on.
Ronan Hughes.
Ronan Hughes plays for St Cadix, who I volunteer at. He was at
Well,
East Kilbride last year. Great
yes, he
guy.
was.
Played with Lewis Ferguson in the Hamilton Academy.
Well,
Shug's a great boy.
he was listed in that as well.
There you go. Bloody hell. Pass that
Math,
on to him.
yeah, do Matthew Knox.
Grandson of Archie. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, no, well, it
Yeah.
doesn't say in his personal life,
Okay.
but I would assume it. Maybe I
He
did
was
get
an
it.
FM god as well. I think was it East Fife he was at or Spenny or
Yes,
something. Yeah,
2018
East
East
Fife.
Fife, and then finally, very much like the one who's had the most success, but no, really,
What are you
it's
trying to say? Shug won the Lowland League Cup with EK last year. Loved it.
oh well
Great
then.
campaign.
Well, then he's definitely had a better career than this guy. So fair play. He has had the best career of everybody. It's Tony Gallagher, but not that one.
Oh.
It's one who was at Falkirk. Then he was
The
signed.
fullback.
Yes,
Is it St Johnston now? Yeah.
yes, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Oh, so
aye.
yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
aye.
But
Bloody
yeah,
hell.
so he was signed at like Liverpool and stuff like that.
Sorry. Oh yeah, that's right. He did go down there.
Yeah,
So Rory Curry, Ronan Hughes, Tony Gallagher,
Matthew
Jack
Knox
Aitchison, Matthew Knox,
and
and
Liam
Liam
Burt.
Burt. Bloody hell.
So fair
Christ,
play to
well,
them.
gonna have to take Shug after this is done and
Yeah,
say, "Oh, just found out what
you've been
happened."
the biggest success out of our list. I can give you the article. I know if you want to send him it.
Let's get Shug on and he can
Yeah,
talk us through his career.
I've played in Scotland and Northern Ireland. When he was at us in 2020, he went on loan to Linfield.
Oh, I was going to say Crusaders. I would only
I
guess.
scored 1 goal for the club. Yes, you're
Wraith
correct.
Rovers. Yeah, I
Wraith
was there
Rovers,
that night. Remember it?
4-2. And then the final point where it's just after making a few appearances for Hearts and the manager at the time stating they're really looking forward to me introducing regularly,
That was Cathro, wasn't
that
it?
was Cathro. Cathro
Yeah.
was like, right, I'm going to try and get him in. He suffered a serious knee ligament injury, which put him out for 11 months.
Ah.
And he just never really got going after that.
Oh, that's a shame.
And the last club he was at, so his list of clubs are Hearts. And while he was at us, he went on loan to East Fife and actually had quite a good return. He played 18, scored 10.
East Fife and Steny.
East
Why
Fife
am I
and
so obsessed with
Forfar.
Steny? Oh, Forfar. Okay.
Forfar, Linfield, and then he left us and signed for Brecon. And
Wow.
then his most recent club was Trinent.
Bloody hell.
But he left them in last season, and according to Wikipedia and Transfermarkt, he doesn't have a team.
Christ. I didn't even know he was at Trinent.
Yeah. So he was there last season.
Oh, there you go.
Oh no, sorry. He now plays for Mornington in Australia.
Oh,
So fair
there you
play to
go.
him.
It's gone down under. I like it.
Yeah,
Fair play,
exactly.
Rory boy.
But you did very well overall. 3 out of 5. Take that.
It's all right. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Good. Who am I? That was tough. I did
It's
not
a
know
tough
that
one.
about Rory Curry.
Even though it's a really recent player, it's tough because of how sporadic it
I thought
was.
he'd left before that. Wow.
So did
There you
I.
go.
I didn't realise he left us
Time
in
is
the
off.
COVID demotion situation with loads of folk
Jesus.
left. But yeah, so let us know if you did get it. And if you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Massively helps us out. If you've been trying to watch Adam struggle through Aidan Keena and Lewis Moore and all that on YouTube, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Perth to Paisley on all the socials. perthtopaisley@gmail.com if you want to fire us over an email. Adam, where can they get you on all the socials?
You can get me on all the socials watching Rory Curry, the best bits, at Adam T. Kendall. What about yourself, mate?
I'm at DMcIver22. We'll be back next week to discuss all the fallout from the Ross County game and anything else that happens with that. Probably discussion about splits for Hampden and how many tickets we get. We'll see what happens then. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.